The latest Netflix numbers are in, and for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, they tell a much harsher story than any press statement ever would. Twice a year, Netflix publishes its viewing data in a report often referred to as What We Watched, and that report matters because it cuts through the usual celebrity spin. Public relations teams can describe a partnership as evolving. They can say a deal is moving into a new chapter. They can insist that everyone is still on wonderful terms. But when the spreadsheet appears, the numbers give us something much harder to massage. They show what people actually watched, what they ignored, and which projects had enough life to survive beyond their launch week publicity. For Harry and Meghan, the picture is not flattering. Several of their projects did not even make the visible top range of Netflix titles being discussed in the report. Others appeared so low that they raised a much bigger question. If this is the best a globally famous Duke and Duchess can do with Netflix distribution behind them, what exactly is left of their entertainment brand?
Guys, the Netflix numbers are officially in, and this is probably one of my favorite times of year. It happens twice a year where Netflix reveals how well some of its programs have done from the previous 6 months. And I find these numbers to be critically important. And the reason is
the couple may continue to present themselves as creative producers, campaigners, storytellers, and media entrepreneurs. But the data suggests something much simpler. Audiences are not showing up for them unless the product is directly tied to royal drama. Meghan by herself does not appear to be a reliable television draw. Harry by himself does not appear to be a reliable documentary draw. Together, when the subject is their rupture with the royal family, they still attract some curiosity. Outside that, the numbers collapse. The first important thing to understand is how Netflix reports these figures. The company does not simply tell the public how many individual people watched a show from beginning to end. Instead, the report lists metrics such as total hours viewed, runtime, and calculated views. In basic terms, Netflix takes the total number of hours watched and divides it by the runtime to produce a view number. That can be useful, but it is not the same thing as a clean count of unique viewers or completed watches. A program may have people start and stop. It may have viewers sample the first episode and abandon it. It may have fans replaying certain sections. Netflix almost certainly has deeper internal data on completion rates and retention, but that is not what the public receives. So even the reported views can be a softened version of reality. They tell us something, but they may not tell us the most damaging thing. That caveat actually makes the Sussex numbers look worse, not better. If a calculated view can include partial interest, background watching, curiosity clicks, and repeated streams from committed supporters, then a low number means the show did not merely fail to become a phenomenon, it struggled even with every possible advantage built in. Harry and Meghan had global name recognition, they had Netflix promotion, they had royal titles, they had years of controversy. Meghan had a lifestyle brand to support. Harry had military and veteran causes to draw from.
still have this great relationship with Netflix. But the numbers, again, tell an entirely different story. They are very stark. They are very black and white. And again, this is my favorite thing to check out every year because it reveals so.
The audience knew who they were. The problem was not awareness. The problem was that awareness did not translate into sustained viewing. That distinction is important because the Sussexes cannot argue they were unknown talents buried inside the catalogue. Many creators fail because nobody sees the launch. That was never Harry and Meghan's problem. Every project arrives with news coverage, analysis, arguments, and a built-in curiosity factor. Even people who dislike them often sample the work simply to understand what the conversation is about. Netflix did not have to explain who Meghan was. It did not have to explain why Harry mattered. It did not have to introduce the royal conflict from scratch. The couple came with one of the most recognizable personal brands in the world. When that kind of awareness produces only modest viewing, The problem is not visibility, it is appetite. It also means the numbers are not just a matter of anti-Sussex critics refusing to watch. In fact, controversy usually helps initial sampling. A polarizing public figure can still drive enormous audiences because supporters, critics, journalists, and casual viewers all want to see what is happening. If the content were compelling, even negative attention could have turned into strong completion and ongoing discovery. The fact that the projects fall away suggests that after the initial curiosity, viewers did not find enough reason to stay. That is much more damaging than simple dislike. Dislike can still be monetized. Indifference is harder to overcome. The broader Netflix report also shows how competitive the platform has become. The first half of the year generated enormous watch time across the service, with Netflix highlighting tens of billions of hours watched globally. Non-English titles performed strongly, particularly Korean series and films, along with productions from countries such as Japan, Spain, India, and South Africa. That matters because it proves the global Netflix audience is not closed-minded.
I have been waiting for this for weeks. As soon as it turned into July, I knew these numbers were coming. And why I really like these numbers is that it is simple. These are not complicated. These are not difficult to suss out. These are not spinnable. This is just bare bones basic facts. And if you can't handle the facts, you got a problem. So let's look at what we're looking at here. So we shall begin with the website. So I always like...
Viewers will watch content from another language and culture if the story is compelling enough. They will cross subtitles, dubbing, unfamiliar settings, and different storytelling traditions when the product works. The entertainment marketplace is not too narrow for Harry and Meghan. It is wide open. They simply have not made content that enough people want to keep watching. The documentary category is especially relevant because, in theory, Harry and Meghan should have been strong there. Netflix audiences watch documentaries. True crime, celebrity investigations, sports stories, social issue films, and behind-the-scenes series can all perform extremely well. A well-built documentary does not need to be about the royal family to succeed. It needs tension, character, stakes, narrative drive, and emotional clarity. The problem is that Harry and Meghan's documentary and unscripted work has rarely demonstrated that level of storytelling power. Their content often begins with a big platform, but then narrows into personal grievance, vague uplift, or branding. A viewer may arrive because the Sussex name is famous, but fame does not guarantee completion, rewatchability, or affection. The clearest example is With Love, Meghan. According to the figures discussed from the Netflix report, the second season landed around the 4,700 range on the list, with roughly 1.4 million watch hours and about 300,000 calculated views. For an ordinary, small production, that might be something to build on. For Meghan Markle, backed by Netflix, after years of headlines and after the launch of a lifestyle identity, it is weak. A single, mid-sized online creator can reach comparable numbers with one strong video. Meghan's show had the advantage of global curiosity, expensive production, the Duchess title, media coverage, and the surrounding as ever brand story. Yet the result was not a cultural wave. It was a low-ranking entry in a massive catalogue. The first season of With Love, Meghan appears even weaker in the report being discussed, sitting around the 5,600 range with roughly 800,000 watch hours and about 200,000 calculated views. That is a serious problem because lifestyle television depends on retention and habit. A show about cooking, entertaining, friendship, domestic ease, and taste is not meant to be watched once out of curiosity and then forgotten. The point of the format is to create a world viewers want to return to. It should make them want the recipes, the table settings, the kitchen tools, the seasonal ideas, the products, the feeling. If the audience does not come back, then the brand around the show has no real foundation. The show was also reportedly not available in every global market, which raises another question. If Netflix truly believed With Love, Meghan had broad international appeal, why would it not be pushed everywhere? Sometimes distribution restrictions are technical, contractual, or strategic, and outsiders cannot know every internal reason. But the optics are not good. The one Sussex project that appears to have been available globally is Harry and Meghan, the docuseries about their own royal rupture. Meghan's lifestyle show, by contrast, appears to have had more limited reach. That suggests Netflix may have understood the difference between what people were likely to sample and what they were not. The content problem is easy to see. Meghan's lifestyle persona requires the audience to believe she has something specific to teach or share. Viewers of successful lifestyle television do not only watch because the host is famous, they watch because the host solves a problem, creates an atmosphere, or gives them a repeatable feeling. Ina Garten offers warmth and competence. Martha Stewart offers authority and polish. Joanna Gaines offers a very specific home world. Even digital creators with far smaller profiles succeed because they make the viewer feel they can do something after watching. Cook a dish, decorate a room, host a dinner, organize a pantry, choose a gift, or build a ritual. Meghan's challenge is that her show has to move beyond look at Meghan living beautifully and become useful or emotionally sticky. The numbers suggest that did not happen. That is especially damaging because with Love, Meghan was supposed to support more than television. It was supposed to give, as ever, a visual identity. The show should have made the products feel natural. The jam, honey, sprinkles, candles, mixes, or seasonal goods should have appeared as part of a world viewers wanted to enter. Instead, the brand and the show often felt like separate pieces trying to justify each other. If a viewer watches a lifestyle episode and does not immediately understand why the product matters, the commercial structure is weak, the show becomes decoration rather than engine. The holiday edition is interesting because it appears to have performed in roughly the same calculated view territory as the first season, despite being much shorter. The report discussed a figure of about 200,000 watch hours and roughly 200,000 calculated views for a 1-hour holiday special, landing around the 5,900 range. In some ways, that may be Meghan's best clue. Holiday content is easier to package. It has a built-in reason to exist. It can be cheaper, more seasonal, and more repeatable than a full lifestyle season. A Christmas table, a Thanksgiving recipe, a summer garden party, a Valentine's dinner, or a spring brunch can all be self-contained. If Meghan's holiday material performed relatively better than the longer lifestyle series, a smarter strategy might have been to lean into that format. But that also exposes another weakness: missed opportunity. If a holiday special is the format with the clearest commercial logic, then the brand should be ready to deliver repeated seasonal moments. A lifestyle figure with Meghan's profile should be able to produce short, polished holiday content all year long. She could build a rhythm around Easter, Mother's Day, summer entertaining, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas and New Year's. Each moment could connect to recipes, products, decor, gifting, flowers, jams, honey, candles, hosting tips, and short-form video.
Or a documentary on Netflix. Netflix is, again, globally available, and yet nobody wants to watch. That's a big problem for the games. I just don't understand why millions upon millions of dollars are poured into them when nobody watches. Again, that's why it's sort of like a pity talent show thing that governments invest in because they feel bad for their veterans, and that's like all they do it for. The games aren't sustainable that way. To sustain the games, they have to be watchable, guys. They have to be watchable. If they're not watchable, nobody will watch them. Who'd have thunk it, right? There's no incentive to watch the games if they're not interesting or compelling. They can't just be a pity watch. That's why Harry sometimes I feel like is advocating for. It's like, oh, you feel bad for them. You should pity them and watch them. No.
Instead, the public sees bursts of activity followed by silence. That is not how modern lifestyle brands grow. This is the larger issue with As Ever. The brand needs consistency. It cannot survive only as a curiosity attached to a duchess. People may buy one jar of jam because it is famous. They may click once because the launch is controversial. They may watch one episode because they want to see how Meghan presents herself. But a sustainable lifestyle business needs repeat customers and a living content ecosystem. It needs the founder to show up again and again, demonstrating the products, using them in believable ways, and making the audience feel part of a coherent world. The Netflix numbers suggest that Meghan has not yet created that world at scale. The strongest Sussex performer remains the original Harry and Meghan docuseries. In the report being discussed, it is shown as globally available with around 3.2 million hours viewed and about 600,000 calculated views based on an almost 6-hour runtime. Those numbers are much stronger than the lifestyle projects, but even they tell a limited story. The docuseries still performs because it is the one subject audiences associate most strongly with Harry and Meghan, royal conflict. It is the exit story, the grievance story, the palace story, the family breakdown story. That is the material that still generates curiosity. Not Meghan's kitchen, not Harry's production taste, not their broader creative vision. The royal rupture is the product. Even there, the long-term figure should be viewed realistically. Harry and Meghan was once marketed as an explosive global event. It had the power of first disclosure, private photographs, family tension, palace accusations, and the question of what the Sussexes would say after leaving royal life. For that series to remain their strongest entry is expected. But if the calculated views in the current reporting are only around 600,000 during this period, then even the royal conflict product is no longer operating at the peak of public obsession. People may still revisit it, but it is not endlessly expanding. That matters because the Sussexes cannot keep selling the same emotional archive forever. The first telling was valuable. The second telling was weaker. The third, fourth, and fifth versions risk becoming repetitive. That is the key business lesson Netflix appears to have learned. Harry and Meghan can attract attention when the subject is the royal family. They are far less convincing when they try to lead content outside that frame. If Netflix ever buys more from them, the most obvious candidate would be something tied to Diana, the monarchy, royal history, or the emotional legacy of Harry's childhood. A Diana documentary, for example, would be far more commercially logical than another generic lifestyle series or an abstract leadership project. It would still trade on the royal connection, which is exactly what the Sussexes claim to have moved beyond but continue to rely on.
Watch because it's compelling, and you make it compelling by sharing the stories of the veterans and their injuries and how they're overcoming them. But the Invictus Games doesn't do that. The way the Invictus Games sells itself is by Harry and Meghan. And that is a failing proposition, not just because of whatever you think about Harry and Meghan, but because that is not actually focusing on the thing that gets people in the seats, which is the competitors.
Then there are the projects that did not appear at all. Polo, Harry's documentary project around the sport, failed to show up in the current visible data discussed in the source. In the previous report, it reportedly drew only around 100,000 views, and now it appears to have fallen below the threshold being discussed. Live to Lead, which came out after Harry and Meghan, is also absent. Heart of Invictus is absent. That absence is not just a small embarrassment, it is a warning sign about the entire Sussex production model. If projects tied to leadership, polo, veterans, and inspiration cannot even maintain modest Netflix visibility, then the couple's production company has not proved it can generate enduring viewer demand. Polo is particularly revealing because it shows the limit of elite lifestyle storytelling. Polo is visually attractive, associated with wealth and exclusivity, and connected to Harry's own world. But that does not automatically make it compelling television. To make people care, a show needs characters, stakes, conflict, humor, jeopardy, rivalry, heartbreak, and emotional access. If the audience feels it is simply being invited to observe a privileged world without enough narrative reason to care, it will drift away. The data suggests that viewers did just that. They did not keep watching, and they did not return in meaningful numbers. Heart of Invictus is more consequential because it connects to Harry's most important public cause. Invictus should be the strongest non-royal pillar of Harry's life, It has a powerful mission: real human stories, wounded and injured service personnel, recovery, resilience, family sacrifice, national pride, and sport. On paper, that is exactly the kind of material that can produce moving documentary content. Yet if a Netflix audience is not even watching Heart of Invictus in sustained numbers, that raises hard questions. Not about the worth of the competitors, but about the way the games are being packaged and sold. The central mistake is making Harry and Meghan too much of the frame. Invictus should be about the athletes. It should be about the injuries they have overcome, the families who support them, the training, the setbacks, the emotional pressure, the competition, and the pride of representing their countries. Viewers need reasons to choose a competitor, follow a journey, and care about the outcome. They should not be asked to watch out of pity. They should not be told that the cause is noble and therefore attention is owed. The content has to be compelling. If the marketing keeps centering Harry, or Harry and Meghan, then the games become another Sussex vehicle rather than a sports and recovery story with its own power. That is a problem for Invictus beyond Netflix. Governments and organizers can pour millions into staging the games, but long-term sustainability requires viewers, public interest, ticket sales, commercial partners, and emotional investment. If people will not watch a polished Netflix documentary for free, why would they fill seats or follow the event deeply when it is live? The answer cannot be guilt. It has to be storytelling.
But looking at this holistically, I showed you the numbers. And let's see here. Let's look back at, I'm going to look back real quickly at 2025. Harry and Meghan, of course. Polo was on there at the time. It's fallen below. So what Netflix does is that it shares all the way down to 100,000 views. At the end, there's a footnote now that says that anything below 50,000 is not on the list. So Polo didn't get 50,000. Last time it got only 100,000. What else do we have? Live to Lead, which is not on there anymore. So what do these numbers tell us? Because again, Harry and Meghan like to spin quite a bit. Meghan again has spun this first look deal into this. Well, we're evolving our relationship. We're having a better one. We're doing all these productions. But are any of these productions getting finished where Harry and Meghan are leading?
The competitors need to be introduced early. Their stories need to be followed closely. The sporting stakes need to be explained. The audience needs to understand what victory means. Harry can be part of the history of Invictus, but he cannot be the product forever. This is why the Netflix report matters far beyond streaming statistics. It suggests the Sussexes have not solved the basic problem of post-royal life. What are they for when they are not talking about the monarchy? Meghan's lifestyle work is not drawing enough audience, and Harry's polo and leadership projects are not drawing enough audience. Invictus, at least in documentary form, is not drawing enough audience. Their strongest asset remains the drama of leaving the royal family. But that drama becomes less valuable every year unless they can refresh it with new access, new conflict, new reconciliation, or new palace proximity. That connects directly to the renewed talk about Harry and Meghan wanting a route back toward Britain. If Hollywood is cooling, if Netflix is stepping back, if Spotify is gone, if As Ever is not becoming a major force, and if the couple's projects do not have long-term audience life, then royal relevance becomes more important again. A meeting with King Charles, a possible family thaw, a story about grandchildren, a security battle, a return for Invictus in Birmingham, or speculation about Meghan coming back to the United Kingdom, all help reattach the Sussexes to the one brand that still moves numbers, the royal family. This may be why Meghan has tried to describe the Netflix relationship in softer, more positive terms, speaking about evolution or a different kind of arrangement. A first-look deal is not the same thing as the original large-scale production partnership. It may allow Netflix to consider future projects without committing to the same level of investment or expectation. That is a very different power dynamic. If Netflix had been thrilled with the results, the story would not need such careful language. The company would simply renew in a strong way, announce projects, promote a pipeline, and make it clear that Harry and Meghan were central to future programming. Instead, the public sees vagueness. The absence of concrete production updates is significant. In entertainment, real momentum leaves footprints. Scripted projects eventually announce writers, directors, casting, production dates, locations, rights, showrunners, or creative partners. Unscripted projects announce formats, subjects, filming, partnerships, or release windows. If Harry and Meghan had a strong slate moving forward, there would likely be signs. The silence suggests either the projects are stalled, unformed, or not exciting enough for Netflix to push loudly. That is not evolution, that is uncertainty. Meghan's habit of reframing setbacks as growth is part of the broader pattern. Every lost or weakened deal becomes a new phase. Every failure becomes a pivot. Every disappointment becomes an opportunity to evolve. There is nothing wrong with trying to learn from failure, but learning requires acknowledging what went wrong. If every poor outcome is immediately spun into a victory, nothing improves. The Netflix numbers show a serious audience problem. The correct response would be to ask why viewers did not stay, why the show did not create habit, why the products were not integrated better, why the storytelling did not travel, and why the Sussex name is not enough outside royal conflict. The public response so far has often sounded more like branding than self-correction. The comparison with ordinary digital creators is uncomfortable but revealing. Many independent YouTube channels, podcasts, and online commentators generate hundreds of thousands of views with far smaller teams, far smaller budgets, and no Netflix machinery. They do it through consistency, audience trust, clear positioning, and a direct relationship with viewers. Meghan's Netflix lifestyle show, with all of its polish, does not automatically outperform that world. That should worry anyone involved in the Sussex media strategy. Production value alone does not build loyalty.
Abysmal failure for Harry and Meghan. The numbers don't lie. They may, but the numbers don't. The numbers are not good. Netflix did not renew the deal because it thought Harry and Meghan could make it on their own, or that Netflix thought, well, now they can better evolve. Like, Meghan keeps kind of spinning all their lost deals as, oh, it's a chance for us to evolve and get better. No, you just failed. You failed. And yes, I understand your need to spin it into something positive. However, it doesn't negate the failure. You failed. And the biggest thing about failure, guys, is you have to figure out within the failure how you're going to make changes to avoid the failure again. And I don't see that. All I see is more and more failure from Harry and Meghan. Half their shows don't even make the lists anymore.
A famous name may get someone to click once. It does not make them care. There is also a deeper creative question. What stories do Harry and Meghan actually know how to tell? Their best known story is their own grievance. Their strongest material is their proximity to the monarchy. But producers need curiosity outside themselves. They need to shape other people's stories, build arcs, take risks, and understand audience desire. The data suggests that when Harry and Meghan move away from their own royal drama, the audience does not follow. That is not a small technical problem. It is a creative identity crisis. The global success of non-English titles in the same Netflix ecosystem makes the failure sharper. A Korean series can reach audiences across cultures because the story works. A documentary about an unfamiliar case can travel because the narrative is gripping. A reality or competition show can hold attention because the format is strong. Harry and Meghan cannot blame the market for being too difficult. The market is rewarding plenty of content. It is simply not rewarding theirs at the level their profile would suggest. This also explains why Netflix may still be interested only in the royal adjacent material. From a business perspective, the couple's value is not their production expertise. It is access, memory, title, and controversy. Harry can speak about Diana in a way few others can. Meghan can speak about joining and leaving the royal family. Together, they can generate headlines about monarchy, race, press, family, and exile. But once that well runs dry, Netflix has little reason to invest heavily in them as general producers. The spreadsheet makes that brutally clear. The failure of Polo and the disappearance of Heart of Invictus from the list also undermine Harry's argument that his post-royal life is anchored in serious purpose. Invictus remains meaningful, but meaning alone does not equal audience. Better Up may provide a title, but the public still does not know what Harry does there. Polo may reflect his personal interests, but viewers did not care enough. The gap between Harry's self-image as a global impact figure and the actual audience response is widening. That gap may help explain why he keeps returning to security, Britain, and royal recognition. Those fights at least guarantee attention. This is the uncomfortable lesson for both of them. Attention generated by conflict is not the same as audience generated by creative trust. The public will watch a feud for a while, it will click on scandal, it will argue about hypocrisy, it will debate security, titles, family meetings, and whether Meghan might return to Britain. But that is not the same as building an entertainment company. An entertainment company needs repeated proof that it can produce shows people want, even when the scandal is not fresh. The Sussexes have not shown that. They have shown they can dominate coverage. They have not shown they can consistently produce content with its own life. Their defenders might say that many production companies need time to find their voice. That is true. But Harry and Meghan were not treated like unknown beginners. They were given extraordinary resources because of who they were. The standard is therefore different. When a platform invests in a royal couple with global visibility, the expectation is not that they will slowly learn the basics of audience development over many years. The expectation is that they bring access, vision, and reliable public interest. If they cannot deliver that, the platform will move on to cheaper, clearer, more effective producers. But attention is not the same as success. A lawsuit can generate headlines and still be a strategic disaster. A security complaint can dominate coverage and still make Harry look entitled. A reunion rumor can place him back in the royal conversation and still fail to restore trust. A Netflix report can remind people of the Sussexes and still prove that people are not watching their work. This is the trap they are in. They remain famous enough to be discussed, but not strong enough creatively or commercially to convert that discussion into durable achievement. That is why the idea of returning to the United Kingdom is so revealing. Harry and Meghan are private citizens now. They chose a commercial life in America. Queen Elizabeth II made clear that there would be no half-in, half-out arrangement.
Prove that things are not going well. I 100% believe that the desire to return, quote unquote, to the UK is a reflection of this dismal failure. And Harry and Meghan seem to run from failure. They don't try to learn and grow and do better. They just kind of run and jump to the next thing. But that's not going to solve your problem. And the other problem is you guys are private citizens now. Maybe Charles will be soft, but who knows how long his reign will last. And maybe Prince William will go, yeah, I don't need you, Harry. Go home. And Harry's like, but I don't want to go home. I don't know what to do. But that's on Harry. That's on Meghan. They are not producers. I don't know what in the world Meghan Markle was thinking. I bet you she just thought, guys, well, producing is so easy. Creating stories is so easy. It's not. Even on YouTube, it's hard to produce.
They could not live as private entrepreneurs in California while dipping back into royal duties, royal status, and royal symbolism when useful. That line was meant to protect the monarchy from exactly this confusion. Titles used for money, causes used for branding, and royal proximity used to refresh commercial value. The Netflix numbers show why the Sussexes might want to test that line again. Their independent brand is weaker than promised. King Charles may be softer than William. He may want to see his son. He may want a relationship with Archie and Lilibet. He may be more willing to create private family contact, especially while dealing with illness and the awareness of time. But private family contact is not the same as public royal restoration. If Charles allows warmth to become spectacle, or if he allows private meetings to feed commercial narratives, then the half-in, half-out problem returns. And Prince William, when his time comes, is unlikely to indulge it. The future king has every reason to keep the Sussexes at a distance from the working monarchy. This is where the streaming failure becomes a constitutional headache. If Harry and Meghan had built a thriving independent empire in America, the royal family could leave them to it. They would be outside the institution, commercially successful, and less dependent on royal oxygen. But weak media numbers make them more likely to need the palace story again. Every private meeting with Charles becomes more valuable. Every mention of the children becomes more valuable. Every hint of reconciliation becomes more valuable. The weaker the Sussex commercial identity becomes, the more pressure there is on the royal identity to carry the weight. The Netflix report therefore lands at a very important moment. It does not simply show that a few shows underperformed. It helps explain the larger Sussex strategy. Hollywood did not become the effortless kingdom they imagined. Their production work has not proved strong enough on its own. Meghan's lifestyle brand has not become a major cultural force. Harry's causes have not translated into sustained viewing. Their most valuable asset is still the family they left. That is why every story about reconciliation, security, children, and returning to Britain should be read against this background. The numbers also challenge the idea that the public is simply waiting for more Sussex content. If that were true, with love, Meghan would have stronger retention. Polo would still appear. Heart of Invictus would have a visible afterlife. Live to Lead would not have vanished from the conversation. The fact that these projects fade suggests curiosity has limits. People may click when the royal family is involved. They may not care when Harry and Meghan ask to be taken seriously as producers outside that drama. For Meghan, the lesson is especially blunt. A lifestyle brand cannot be built through occasional announcements and royal adjacent intrigue. It needs a real audience relationship. It needs products people want independent of celebrity. It needs frequent content, practical usefulness, and a sense that the founder actually lives the world she is selling.
Kicked them to the curb, as they should have. And Harry and Meghan, now we see the numbers laid out. The numbers don't lie. You guys tend to. And as a result, it hasn't gone particularly well for you. Maybe you should work more on truth-telling and having good stories than trying to spin everything that's negative into a positive. Sometimes just take the L and move on. But
if Netflix numbers show only modest interest in the show, then as ever has to work even harder to prove it is more than a vanity project. Without that proof, each new product drop will feel less like a brand and more like another attempt to monetize residual royal curiosity. For Harry, the lesson is about purpose. He cannot build the next phase of his life entirely around fighting the press, demanding security, and appearing at events that remind people he used to be royal. If Invictus is to remain his proudest achievement, then it needs to be strengthened as a sporting and human story independent of him. If he wants to be a producer, he needs to support projects viewers actually want to watch. If he wants to be respected in Britain again, he needs discipline and humility, not more public anger. The Netflix numbers suggest that spectacle has not translated into substance. In the end, the spreadsheet does what public relations cannot. It strips away the performance and shows the pattern. Meghan's lifestyle series is weak. The holiday special is modest. Harry and Meghan remains the strongest because royal conflict remains the draw. Polo, Live to Lead, and Heart of Invictus have little visible staying power in the report being discussed. Netflix's reduced enthusiasm suddenly makes sense. The couple's attempt to spin a changed relationship with the platform also makes sense. And the renewed desire to be closer to Britain makes sense most of all. Harry and Meghan can call it evolution. They can call it a new chapter. They can talk about first look arrangements, future projects, and creative freedom. But the audience has already voted with its time. The numbers show that outside the royal story, the Sussex media empire is far smaller than its publicity suggested. That is the real headline. Not that Netflix is cruel, not that viewers failed to understand the vision, and not that the couple simply needs another chance. The headline is that they had one of the biggest platforms in entertainment and could not turn fame into lasting audience loyalty. For people who left the monarchy promising global impact, that is a serious failure. And no amount of spin can make the spreadsheet say otherwise.